Ladies and gentlemen, the greatest battle you will ever fight is not against the world, it's against yourself. More specifically, against the undisciplined, uncontrolled mind. Every success, every failure, every joy, and every sorrow in your life can be traced back to one thing: the way you think. Most people don't realize it, but they are at war with their own thoughts. And the mind, when left unchecked, can become the greatest enemy you will ever face. Imagine for a moment that your mind is a vast, fertile garden. It has the potential to grow anything: beautiful flowers, towering trees, or nourishing fruits. But, like any garden, it must be tended to with care, attention, and discipline. If left untended, it does not remain empty. Instead, it becomes overrun with weeds. Those weeds are negative thoughts, doubts, fears, and distractions, creeping in slowly until they dominate the landscape. Most people go through life unaware that their mental garden is constantly growing something, whether they are consciously planting seeds or not. Every thought you entertain, every belief you reinforce, and every idea you dwell upon is a seed that takes root. The question is not whether your mind will grow something, it is what you are allowing to grow. Are you cultivating thoughts that will lead to success, happiness, and fulfillment? Or are you allowing negativity, self-doubt, and fear to take over? The uncontrolled mind is like a garden left to nature's chaos. Weeds don't need permission to grow. Doubt doesn't ask before it takes root. Negativity doesn't hesitate to spread. The mind, like soil, is neutral. It will grow whatever is consistently planted. The key is understanding that you are the gardener. You have the power to decide what grows in the fertile space of your mind. If you take this responsibility seriously, you can transform your life in ways you never imagined. Every day you are planting seeds, whether you realize it or not. Every book you read, every conversation you engage in, every piece of content you consume is a seed. A man who surrounds himself with knowledge, wisdom, and inspiration is planting seeds of success. A woman who fills her mind with fear-based media, gossip, and negativity is unknowingly planting weeds that will choke her potential. The difference between those who flourish and those who struggle often comes down to what they have been consistently planting in their minds over time. Now, planting the right seeds is just the beginning. A garden does not thrive simply because good seeds are scattered. It requires care, attention, and discipline. It must be watered, nurtured, and protected from external threats. The same is true for your mind. It is not enough to think one positive thought or read one inspiring book. Your mental environment must be cultivated daily. This means actively feeding your mind with empowering ideas, challenging yourself with new knowledge, and surrounding yourself with people who encourage growth rather than destruction. One of the greatest mistakes people make is assuming that their mental garden will take care of itself. They believe they can expose themselves to negativity, doubt, and chaos without consequences. But just as weeds spread quickly in an untended garden, negative thoughts and destructive habits can take over an unmanaged mind. Before long, people find themselves filled with fear, self-doubt, and a sense of hopelessness, all because they failed to guard what was being planted in their minds. This is why mental discipline is so crucial. You must become aware of the thoughts you allow to take root. The moment you recognize a negative thought, whether it is fear, self-doubt, or worry, you must treat it as a weed. Pull it out before it spreads. Replace it with a thought that serves you, just as a wise gardener removes weeds and plants something beautiful in their place. The most successful individuals understand this principle deeply. They guard their minds like a sacred garden, allowing only that which contributes to their growth and success. They refuse to entertain negativity for long. They are selective about what they read, watch, and listen to. They surround themselves with others who cultivate strong, positive mental gardens of their own. If you want to change your life, you must start with your mind. Treat it like the most valuable garden you will ever cultivate. Be intentional with the seeds you plant. Nurture your thoughts with care. Remove weeds before they take hold. And watch as your life transforms, reflecting the beauty and abundance of a well-tended mind. Every great achievement in history began as a single thought. Every failure, too, was born in the mind before it became reality. The power of thought is beyond measure, yet most people treat their minds as if they are passive observers, allowing any idea, positive or negative, to take root without question. This is where the greatest mistake lies. The mind is not merely a receiver, it is a creator. Whatever dominates your thoughts will manifest in your life whether you intend it to or not. Consider this. The mind is like a broadcasting station, constantly sending out frequencies that shape your reality. What you think about most will eventually become the script of your life. If you dwell on problems, you will find more problems. If you focus on opportunities, doors will begin to open where you once saw only walls. This is not magic. It is the result of how thoughts shape perception, perception shapes actions, and actions shape results. Most people are unaware of how powerful their thoughts are, so they allow their minds to wander aimlessly. They worry about things they cannot control, entertain self-doubt, and dwell on fears. Over time, these thoughts become beliefs, and beliefs dictate behavior. A A person who constantly thinks I am not good enough will eventually act in ways that reinforce that belief. They will hesitate when opportunity knocks. They will settle for less than they deserve. Their actions, or lack thereof, will create a reality that aligns with the thoughts they have allowed to dominate their mind. But the opposite is also true. A person who consistently thinks I am capable, resourceful, and worthy of success will take actions that reflect that belief. They will seek solutions instead of dwelling on problems. They will seize opportunities rather than shy away from them. Their thoughts will shape a reality that aligns with their mindset. This is why guarding your thoughts is not just important, it is essential. The challenge is that thoughts are influenced by everything around us. The books we read, the conversations we engage in, the media we consume. All of these things plant seeds in our minds. If we are not careful, we allow external influences to dictate our internal world. Many people unknowingly sabotage their own success by exposing themselves to negativity, whether through toxic relationships, fear-based news, or limiting beliefs passed down by others. Without realizing it, they are letting others program their minds, shaping their reality in ways they never intended. To guard your thoughts fiercely, you must become intentional about what you allow into your mind. Just as a homeowner locks their doors at night to keep intruders out, you must lock the doors of your mind against negativity. This means choosing your influences wisely, surrounding yourself with people who uplift rather than drag you down, reading books that expand your thinking rather than reinforce limitations, and consuming content that inspires growth rather than fuels doubt. It also means being mindful of your own self-talk. Many people speak to themselves in ways they would never speak to a friend. They criticize, belittle, and doubt themselves constantly, reinforcing beliefs that keep them stuck. To change your reality, you must change this inner dialogue. Speak to yourself with the same encouragement and kindness you would offer someone you love. When negative thoughts arise, challenge them. Ask yourself, is this thought serving me? If the answer is no, replace it with one that does. One of the most powerful habits you can develop is the practice of visualization. Seeing in your mind's eye the person you want to become, the goals you want to achieve, and the life you want to live. The brain does not distinguish between vividly imagined experiences and reality. It accepts what you consistently feed it. By repeatedly visualizing success, you condition your mind to seek out and create the circumstances necessary to bring that vision to life. In the end, your life is a reflection of your dominant thoughts. If you want to change your reality, you must first change the way you think. Guard your mind with the same intensity you would protect your most valuable possession, because in truth, it is your most valuable possession. The thoughts you allow to take root will determine the course of your life. Choose them wisely, guard them fiercely, and watch as your world transforms to match the power of your mind. In today's world, distractions are everywhere. They come in the form of notifications, social media, endless entertainment, and the constant noise of everyday life. Most people live in a state of divided attention, jumping from one thing to the next without ever giving their full focus to anything meaningful. This is not by accident. Distraction is the enemy of progress, and it thrives when the mind is undisciplined. The human brain is wired to seek novelty. Every new notification, every piece of gossip, every random piece of information triggers a small release of dopamine, making distraction addictive. But while distractions provide temporary stimulation, they rob us of something far more valuable, the ability to focus deeply on what truly matters. In this way, distraction is not just a minor inconvenience, it is a silent killer of dreams, potential, and achievement. Think about the most successful individuals throughout history, great inventors, thinkers, and leaders. They all had one thing in common, an extraordinary ability to focus. Thomas Edison would spend hours in his laboratory, tuning out the outside world to create inventions that changed humanity. Warren Buffett attributes his success to his ability to say no to almost everything that does not align with his goals. Even in ancient times, philosophers like Marcus Aurelius emphasized the importance of directing one's mind with purpose. They understood that without focus, even the greatest intelligence and ambition are wasted. The enemy, whether it be fear, self-doubt, or mediocrity, wants you to remain distracted, because a distracted mind is weak, scattered, and easily manipulated. The person who cannot focus drifts through life, reacting to whatever demands their attention at any given moment, rather than consciously choosing their direction. Days turn into weeks, weeks into months, and before they realize it, years have passed without any real progress. To reclaim your focus, you must first recognize that distraction is not just external, it is also internal. Many people blame social media, television, or other outside factors for their lack of focus, but the truth is, distraction begins in the mind. A person who is mentally scattered, constantly overthinking, or worried about 100 different things will struggle to focus, even in a quiet room. This is why mastering focus is not just about removing external distractions, it is about disciplining your mind to be fully present in whatever you are doing. One of the most powerful ways to develop focus is through deep work, the ability to work on something with full concentration for an extended period of time. This requires setting clear boundaries, eliminating unnecessary distractions, and training your brain to resist the urge to switch tasks. Studies have shown that multitasking is a myth. The brain does not truly do two things at once, but rather switches rapidly between tasks, leading to reduced efficiency and increased mental fatigue. Those who master focus understand this and dedicate themselves fully to one task at a time. Another key to mastering focus is learning the power of saying no. Every time you say yes to a distraction, you are saying no to something more important. Most people struggle with focus because they allow their time and energy to be consumed by things that do not serve their greater purpose. Successful individuals guard their focus like a treasure, only investing their attention in what truly matters. Mindfulness is also a powerful tool in training focus. When you are mindful, you are fully present in the moment, rather than being caught up in distractions, worries, or thoughts about the past or future. Simple practices like meditation, deep breathing, or even just consciously focusing on one task at a time can strengthen your ability to direct your mind where you want it to go. In the end, mastering focus is about reclaiming control over your mind. It is about recognizing that distractions are the enemy of greatness, and that true success comes from the ability to concentrate deeply on your goals, your work, and your growth. When you train your mind to resist distractions and direct your focus with intention, you unlock a power that separates the extraordinary from the ordinary. Focus is the key to mastery, and mastery is the path to an exceptional life. Most people believe that freedom is the ability to do whatever they want, whenever they want. They equate freedom with a life free of restrictions, rules, or obligations. But this is an illusion. True freedom, the kind that leads to success, fulfillment, and purpose, does not come from indulging in every desire or avoiding responsibility. It comes from discipline. Discipline is often misunderstood. People see it as something that limits them, as a set of rigid rules that take away their enjoyment of life. But in reality, discipline is the very thing that creates the freedom they seek. Without discipline, people become slaves to their impulses, their bad habits, their emotions, and the chaos of an undirected life. They drift aimlessly, reacting to whatever happens rather than shaping their own destiny. Consider the person who has no discipline over their spending habits. They buy whatever they want whenever they feel like it without thinking of the consequences. For a time, it feels like freedom. No restrictions, no limits. But soon, reality sets in. Debt piles up, bills go unpaid, stress and anxiety take over. What seemed like freedom turns into a prison of financial struggle. Now, consider the person who exercises financial discipline, who budgets, saves, and invests wisely. At first, they may feel restricted, unable to buy every little thing they want, but over time, their discipline creates true freedom. The freedom to retire early, to travel, to live without the constant burden of money problems. The same principle applies to every area of life. A person who lacks discipline in their health, who eats whatever they crave and avoids exercise, eventually loses their freedom. They become prisoners of their own body, limited by poor health, fatigue, and preventable illness. But the person who practices discipline, who exercises regularly and eats mindfully, gains freedom. They have the energy to do what they love, the strength to pursue their passions, and the vitality to live life to the fullest. Discipline is the foundation of mastery. No musician, athlete, or entrepreneur reaches greatness without it. The undisciplined person does what is easy, what is comfortable, what feels good in the moment. The disciplined person does what is necessary, what is difficult, what brings long-term rewards. This is why discipline is the dividing line between mediocrity and excellence. A person who wakes up every day and pursues their goals with consistency will achieve things that others only dream about. The writer who disciplines themselves to write every day, even when they don't feel like it, will one day hold their finished book in their hands. The entrepreneur who disciplines themselves to put in the work, to learn, to grow, will build a business that gives them the financial freedom most people only wish for. The athlete who trains when others rest, who pushes through discomfort, will reach levels of performance that seem impossible to those who lack discipline. The irony is that the more disciplined you become, the more freedom you gain. The undisciplined person is controlled by external forces, by their cravings, their fears, their environment. But the disciplined person controls their own destiny. They decide how they spend their time, how they shape their body, how they build their wealth, how they create their future. The first step to developing discipline is realizing that motivation is unreliable. Motivation comes and goes. It is easy to take action when you feel inspired, but true discipline is doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it. It is waking up early to work on your dreams when sleeping in feels more comfortable. It is going to the gym when your body wants to stay on the couch. It is choosing long-term success over short-term gratification. The greatest people in history did not become great by accident. They became great because they mastered themselves. They understood that discipline was the key to achieving their highest potential. If you want to be truly free to live on your own terms, to reach your greatest goals, to shape your own destiny, you must embrace discipline. because discipline is not a restriction, it is the path to everything you have ever wanted. Emotions are a fundamental part of the human experience. They give life color, depth, and meaning. Love, joy, excitement, and passion can inspire us to achieve greatness, while fear, anger, and sadness can serve as warnings, guiding us away from harm. But while emotions are powerful, they were never meant to be in control. They are meant to serve us, not rule over us. The moment we allow emotions to take the driver's seat in our lives, we surrender our power to forces that are unpredictable and often irrational. Too many people live as slaves to their emotions. They act based on how they feel in the moment, without considering the long-term consequences. If they feel unmotivated, they do nothing. If they feel angry, they lash out. If they feel afraid, they retreat. In doing so, they allow their emotions to dictate their actions rather than making decisions based on wisdom, logic, and purpose. The result is a life that is reactive rather than proactive, unstable rather than steady, and filled with regret rather than achievement. Successful people understand a fundamental truth. Emotions are valuable advisors, but terrible masters. They do not ignore their emotions, nor do they suppress them. Instead, they acknowledge their emotions, learn from them, and then decide their course of action based on reason and principles rather than fleeting feelings. They recognize that emotions are temporary, but the consequences of emotional decisions can be permanent. Consider the person who allows anger to control them. In a moment of rage, they say things they later regret, damaging relationships and opportunities. Now, consider the person who feels the same anger but does not allow it to dictate their actions. Instead, they step back, take a breath, and choose a response based on wisdom rather than impulse. They maintain their composure, resolve conflicts effectively, and keep their relationships intact. The difference is not in the emotion itself. Both people felt anger. The difference is in who was in control. Fear is another emotion that often takes over when left unchecked. Fear can be a useful servant, alerting us to danger and helping us make careful decisions. But when it becomes the master, it paralyzes us. It stops people from taking risks, pursuing their dreams, or stepping out of their comfort zones. The person who lets fear control them will never reach their full potential because every challenge will seem too big, every obstacle too daunting, and every unknown too risky. The most successful individuals do not let fear dictate their choices. They feel fear, acknowledge it, and then act anyway. They understand that courage is not the absence of fear, but the ability to move forward despite it. They take calculated risks, they challenge themselves, and they grow because they've learned to master their emotions rather than be mastered by them. Happiness and excitement, though positive emotions, can also lead to poor decisions if not properly managed. People who make choices solely based on how good something feels in the moment often neglect discipline and responsibility. They chase short-term pleasure at the expense of long-term fulfillment. They indulge in spending sprees, unhealthy habits, and distractions, thinking they are pursuing happiness, only to find themselves empty and lost when the temporary high fades. Mastering your emotions does not mean suppressing them. It means recognizing them for what they are, signals, not commands. It means learning to pause before reacting, to assess a situation with clarity, and to choose actions based on principles rather than impulses. It means using emotions as tools rather than being used by them. A person who masters their emotions has control over their life. They remain calm in the face of challenges. They do not allow setbacks to break them, nor do they allow fleeting pleasures to derail them. They experience emotions fully, but they always remain in control. To live a powerful, successful, and fulfilled life, you must put emotions in their rightful place. Let them serve you, guide you, and enrich your experiences, but never allow them to dictate your path. Because the moment you take control of your emotions, you take control of your destiny. Life is a constant battle between control and chaos. Every person is either ruling over their mind, actions, and destiny, or they are being ruled by circumstances, emotions, and external influences. The truth is, whether you realize it or not, there's a throne waiting for you, the throne of your own life. The question is, are you sitting on it, fully in control, or have you unknowingly surrendered it to fear, doubt, distraction, and the expectations of others? Most people live as servants rather than masters of their own existence. They react to life instead of directing it. They let their emotions dictate their actions, their habits shape their future, and the opinions of others determine their worth. They wait for the right time, for motivation, for external validation. In doing so, they relinquish their power. They drift through life, following whatever path seems easiest, never realizing that they were meant to take command, to steer their own course, and to build a life of purpose, fulfillment, and greatness. To be the master of your life, you must first recognize that no one else is responsible for your success or failure. It is easy to blame circumstances, childhood, bad luck, or other people for where you are. But the moment you place responsibility outside of yourself, you also place your power there. You give up control. True masters of life understand that while they cannot always control what happens to them, They always have control over how they respond, how they grow, and how they move forward. Mastery begins in the mind. Your thoughts shape your reality. If your mind is filled with doubt, fear, and negativity, your life will reflect that. If your mind is disciplined, focused, and filled with belief in your own ability, your actions will align with that vision. Every great leader, creator, and achiever in history first mastered their own mind before they mastered their craft. They trained their thoughts to serve them rather than hinder them. They developed the discipline to push forward even when motivation faded. They took control of their inner world, knowing that it would ultimately shape their outer world. Once you have control over your mind, you must take control over your actions. Mastery is not just about thinking differently, it is about doing differently. A king or queen does not sit passively on their throne, hoping that things will improve on their own. They take action, make decisions, and move with purpose. If you want to be the master of your life, you must develop the discipline to take consistent action toward your goals, no matter how you feel in the moment. You must also take control over your time. Time is the most valuable resource you have, yet so many people waste it without thought. They scroll mindlessly, engage in distractions, and spend their energy on things that do not bring them closer to their purpose. A true master guards their time like a treasure. They set priorities, eliminate distractions, and dedicate themselves to meaningful work. Being the master of your life also means taking control of your emotions. While emotions are powerful, they should never dictate your actions. Fear should not stop you from taking risks. Anger should not cause you to act impulsively. Sadness should not trap you in inaction. A true master acknowledges emotions, understands them, but does not let them take control. They make choices based on principles, purpose, and long-term vision, not just on temporary feelings. Finally, mastery requires courage. Sitting on the throne of your life means accepting the weight of responsibility. It means facing challenges head-on rather than running from them. It means standing tall in the face of adversity, refusing to be defeated by obstacles, and always choosing growth over comfort. You are not meant to be a servant to fear, distraction, or the expectations of others. You are meant to be the ruler of your own life. But no one can place you on the throne. You must claim it yourself. Take command of your thoughts, your actions, your time, and your emotions. Lead yourself with discipline, courage, and purpose. The throne is yours, but only if you are willing to rise and take it.